lounging, son.
Welcome back to the Comic Lounge. My name's Ryan, and I'm back talking some more CrossGen comic books as I dive deep into one of my favorite publishers of the 2000s, one that I wish was still around, and that's CrossGen Comic Books. I started off with CrossGen Chronicles #1. I'm going to be talking about the 4 launch titles. This was the first to launch, and that is Mystic by Ron Marz, Brandon Peterson, John Dell, Andrew Crossley. Before I get into it, though, if you are subscribed to the channel, thank you for your support. We appreciate it. If you're not subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button and check out some of the dope content on the channel. Stay tuned for a bunch more. We're a daily YouTube channel, so, search up in the bar on, our page, and there's a ton of great comic books that I'm sure we've talked about some of your favorites. Today, got to talk Mystic. I love this. This is probably, of the titles, I would say, I don't want to say it's like the bad girl title of the bunch, but I mean, as you can see, her costume somewhat revealing, kind of like what we'd see with Witchblade, Fathom, Dawn, Lady Death, those kind of books that were coming out at the time, late 90s, early 2000s, that were super popular. So this kind of definitely, I think, while maybe not the same subject matter, not the same kind of vibe as those books, definitely falls in line with that. We're gonna meet Giselle, and she is the main character of the book, along with her sister Genevieve. Now this kind of talks about the reason that these two characters with these glowing orange eyes are creating the Sigil-Bearers, because that's who they are. They have their reasons, and we don't know them yet. It will become known throughout CrossGen Comics as they move forward. But it's kind of interesting. They want to kind of reignite this energy in the universe because it's become cold. And at first they say we're just going to do one. They're not going to give them any guidance. They're going to let their actions dictate the flare of their sigil, which means is it going to lean more towards the red, more towards the yellow, which I kind of alluded to in the CrossGen Chronicles episode I talked about. I love this. I love Brandon Peterson. I remember his X-Men stuff. He's done some really dope comic books before this and well after this as well. And this is a world rife with magic, and that's, she's kind of the party girl, right? Her sister's the one that's training to become this master in their house, and there's 7 houses of magic within this world of Ciress. I gotta say, Brandon Peterson draws some beautiful women, some beautiful characters. They're asking her about her sister. She's like, oh, she's the responsible one. This is the last place you'd ever see my sister. And then, of course, what happens? We see your sister, and she's like, the ceremony's gonna happen. I need you there. Don't be late. Change into your guild robes. Because I'm gonna be the master tomorrow, or I'll become guild master tomorrow. I don't have to track you down. And she doesn't practice magic. It's not her thing. So she just doesn't get it. They may be sisters, but they're both very different, both in personality and their personal goals, right? Get another character with orange eyes. I mentioned it in the CrossGen Chronicles episode 2. Where did this guy come from? Why is he there? And they kind of serve as almost, I don't want to say guides, but they have their reasons for being there. And not all of the characters with orange eyes necessarily are the ones that inflict the sigil mark upon these Sigil-Bearers, as they're called. There's always somebody with orange eyes that gives them the mark, and then there's always somebody with orange eyes that's kind of like a side character in the story. And I love this. Flying taxi, and she's like, yeah, I'm just gonna walk, because she's not into magic. So, well, she didn't disappoint. She's in her guild robe. She's ready to go with Genevieve as she's going to become a guild master. We meet the other 7 houses. We meet Magus of the Dark Magi Guild, Manju of the Astral Guild, Atia of the Djinn Guild, Zai of the Shaman Guild, Vashu of the Tantric Guild, and Yinma of the Enchantress Guild. And that's important to note because, was shown in the CrossGen Chronicles, they each have a spirit of, their ancestors that had come to power when they had teamed up and they fought off an insane power, and they could only do it by coming together to defeat them. And in doing so, that power went into them and has now enabled their spirits to live on with each passing guildmaster and pass on the knowledge of each. So we're seeing the ceremony. Genevieve's about to get this power, and what happens? Some dude with orange eyes comes up, talks to Giselle, gives her a handshake, and what happens? We see the glowing on her hand, and that's going to be the mark of the sigil. And as the spirit is about to go into Genevieve, we see it doing something weird. And then also all the other spirits are coming out. They're chasing Giselle. She runs out of the building, and they all go inside her, and her costume is ripped to shreds. Her robes are ripped to shreds. That becomes, her quote unquote costume that we're going to see moving forward. And she's knocked out, her hand in the water. There's that little guy, and we see her glowing hand with the mark. Then we get into issue 2. She's kind of coming out of it, and she's like, what happened? Everything, they all got drawn into me, and this thing won't come off my hand. What is this? Like, he starts talking to her, and she's like, thinks that she imagined it. It can't be happening. Her guild robes are shredded. A stray squid, that's what these creatures are called, talking to me. Somebody please tell me what's happening. And so now, what I really like, is all the spirits that are inside her communicate with her, and we see them in these word balloons, and they all bear the symbol of each house. So that's how you know who's talking to her in her head. And so now she's just like, they're all fighting. They're like, they don't understand why they got drawn to her. They're pissed that they got drawn to her. Eventually, they will reluctantly kind of help her and guide her, but she's able to draw on all their powers. That's what her sigil gives her. It gives her power over the different magics from the different houses. Then we meet this side character, Thierry Chevalier, who may or may not end up being a love interest. And, she's like, I gotta run. I gotta go lie down. She takes off, and he gives her his card. And that's that. But then we come back to the Citadel, all of the masters, and they're trying to figure out what happened. What are they going to do? And when we see just all these other, magic artifacts there. And while Giselle was going to become a guild master, she didn't actually fully become that. So she's not there at part of this conversation. They bring her in. They're trying to figure out what they're going to do, because her rite of ascension ended up ripping all the spirits from everybody. And they don't know how it happened. She tells them that it's in her sister, because they didn't even know. And now they're going to have to do something about it. And you got to bring her to us. Then she makes her way home. Giselle makes her way home. She's getting water for this squid, this talking squid that she has no idea how he came into her life. And we see this demon break into her house. He's going to bring her back to the guild masters. She's fighting him off, burns off one of his horn with the magic, and he chokes her out. I love how it ends. Like, oh, you're in trouble. So then, the next few issues is all going to be playing out to where Giselle is, against these guild masters, because, she wants the mark on, but she doesn't know how. And she's really going to come into her own, because she kind of has no choice. She didn't mean for it to happen, but she's also not going to go down quietly. And obviously, you're attacked, what are you going to do? You're going to attack back. I love this story that Ron Marz has come up with this, making these 7 houses. Again, I don't know how much of this was done by Mark Alessi and Gina Villa, but the way that this is all fleshed out, it becomes a really cool series where it moves forward, and, seeing the different houses and the different realms that they all inhabit. I love this too, with all the different spirits, and watching how they pull them out, but then they get sucked right back into her. And, the guildmaster from her house is going to help her, through all this. Talks about how she could become the most powerful mystic ever. Great shot right here. So we see these guildmasters, they don't really stand a chance against her, because she has all these powers. And then we meet this mysterious guy. Where did he come from? So now we get in issue 4. We see, inside Giselle's head, all the old guild masters fighting against one another. And all fighting inside her. She just doesn't even know that this is taking place. So then we meet this guy. And there's something interesting about him too. And I didn't notice it the first time I read it, but you'll notice here, he's another member of the First. He's got the red symbol on his ring. And she kind of confides in him, tells him what's happened. He takes her home. We see Genevieve being against the guildmaster, saying, I'm not going to kill her. And they trap her inside, and they use this magic to kind of create, all these demons create to form Genevieve, and they're going to send this Genevieve double after Giselle to trap her. This guy from the first, we see like he's kind of manipulating her. He's trying to tell her, oh, I'll help you work through this. This Genevieve double comes in. And so he takes his leave. Giselle's, trying to have this moment with Genevieve, saying she's sorry and, thank you for helping me escape. Slaps her, and then we see the demons. I love this. This is fucking creepy looking. She transforms back in his costume, and she's like, great, this again. Because these are her tattered robes, right? So we see her going back and forth with these demons, and she's able to take them out because she really is the most powerful mystic on the planet at this point with her, sigil powers. And then so she, this squid tells her, she's like, you haven't taken a shower, and you kind of smell. So she creates her new costume, and I really dig this. I love the Art Nouveau style of the art back here, and that has a lot to do with, I feel like, some of the style of this book in terms of like the symbols and the art style. Really dope. And now she is off to save her sister, and this issue was just phenomenal. She goes toe-to-toe with all of them and systematically just takes them all down, all the while being guided by the old guildmaster of Nouveau, which is what she belongs to. And they have all these different magical relics that they're going to use and items to try to defeat her, and no, she takes every single one of them down. And this to me is like my favorite issue of the first few issues. Fight scene's really good. I love getting to see all the different guild masters. And again, Ron Marz at the time, coming off his Green Lantern run, he was like a writer I definitely followed, Barbara Kiesel. But the two of them launching this world of characters, I think they just did such a great job. And after she takes down all the guild masters, now Genevieve is free, and she, helps Giselle, and she says, I'll be there for you. And, now that you've got all the spirits, like, now take their sanctum too. And she transports all the guild masters back to their own corner of the planet, or their own section of the planet, and she just confronts her, and she's like, it's okay, it's over. And that's going to set up a lot of stuff to come. We see Steve McNiven is going to be doing another fill-in issue. That's right, Steve McNiven from Civil War at Marvel, Captain America at Marvel. So, a lot of cool stuff. Get some previews for some of the other issues. The first will be the 5th series to launch, and that's going to bring in Bart Sears, Andy Smith. Great first arc of Mystic. If you haven't picked up this book, I highly recommend it. I said it in a different episode on CrossGen, but Marvel does own the rights to this whole publishing line, so I still hold out hope that maybe we'll see some of these stories finished off at least, or maybe get to see them brought back. Or if Marvel, if you don't want to do anything with it, maybe let somebody else do it, because I know there's a lot of CrossGen fans out there. I'm one of them, and I'm sure there's a ton more that would love to see these characters brought back. So, but until then, we do have some dope comics that you can check out, so go pick them up. Dollar bins, back issue bins, online, wherever you got to get them. I highly recommend them. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe, hit that bell icon so you're notified every time a new vid drops. And on that note, I'm out.